Alrighty, hi everybody. Sunday. My name's Nicolette. We're gonna get started in just about 3, 4, 5 minutes or so. We're probably not gonna use any props today. If you wanted to use a prop, you can use a block of sorts. So the block would be this guy here. If you don't have a block, you can use a couple soup cans. You can use a pillow. You can stick the pillow underneath your seat while we get started in the seated meditation. And yeah, we'll just get started in a couple minutes. I'll let everyone get to their mat, grab their props of any sorts, water bottle, grab your dog, grab a blanket, pillow, what have you, and we'll get started in 3 or so minutes. Alrighty, everybody. So my name's Nicolette. If you're just tuning in now, we're gonna get started in just a minute or so. I had already mentioned, but if you have a block, you can go ahead and grab this block. We honestly probably won't use it for class today, but if you have one or if you like one, you can go ahead and find that. So yeah, this is the 12 p.m. Flow for Black Swan Yoga, and we're gonna kind of do just like a nice ground practice for this kind of like rainy, cloudy, just gloomy Sunday. Just kind of get in touch with the earth, with Mother Earth and the ground, and use some of that energy to just find this steadiness, this stable kind of constant feeling that we can come back to. Whether that's in our practice today, that we keep coming back to this grounding, this earthly, this kind of almost like cradling energy, or if that's something that we'd kind of cultivate in that practice and practice this morning, and something that you take with you for the rest of your day, for your week, what have you. So yeah, last thing, a little bit of housekeeping, is that if you'd like to support our Black Swan Yoga teachers, just maybe by making a donation, simple donation, totally optional though, of course, too, if you have the means or the desire to. Excuse me. And so you can do that at www.blackswanyoga.com/live. And that's our page for donations to help support our local awesome teachers during this little bit of a tricky time with, all the things. So we will get started here. So if you have a block, go ahead and take that block underneath your seat. If you don't have a block and you want to grab a pillow or two, you can stick that underneath your seat. maybe a stack of books, or just the floor, whatever works. So you can bring your knees to touch, so taking by sitting on your shins. Or if you'd like to sit cross-legged, crisscross applesauce, then you can do that too. And if once again you're just tuning in, my name's Nicolette, and you're getting tuned in for your 12 club. So I like to, first off, I start rocking by like this little side-to-side movement. And what that does is it allows the bones actually connect down to the floor, and it kind of eliminates that barrier of your flesh between your bones and the earth. So once you find your bones on the ground, you can rest your palms on your thighs. So you can either take your palms face down if you'd like to kind of continue with that intention of practice, this grounding energy, this receiving steady energy as you take your palms down for a little bit extra support. And if you're like, I could use a little bit of uplifting energy, I could use a little bump or a little liveliness here, then you can go ahead and take your palms face up, and that'll allow the energy to enter in you freely. Wherever you are, I'd like you to knit your elbows in a little bit closer to your rib cage, and we're going to do a couple shoulder rolls. So shoulders roll up towards your ears as you inhale. As you exhale, draw your shoulders towards the back of your space, pinch your shoulder blades together, and then squeeze the shoulder blades down your back. So you might have just found like this broadening of your collarbones, the center of your chest, and then this lengthening of your spine and of your head and your neck. So we're gonna do that once more. Inhale, roll the shoulders up towards your ears, towards the back of your space, and now you pinch the shoulder blades together, so squeeze your back, tone them, and then draw them down towards your hip points. And you feel your spine just lengthen just a little bit. And go ahead and start to soften your gaze, close your eyes if you feel comfortable. Another thing we're going to be working on in class today is this idea of space holding, of finding space. And so the concept might be kind of pretty self-explanatory. It's finding space in these areas in our life where we could use a little bit extra room, a little bit extra clarity, more understanding. And so this idea of this finding space. And go ahead and start to grow your breath while we're here. I just continue to kind of just setting a little intention for practice today. So just start to feel your inhales, feel your exhales, and simply just start to breathe. And so this idea of finding space is that there's this external stimulus. So say that's something in the environment, something that's outside of your body, outside of your mind. And so this external stimulus happens, right? And say can be something as little as like, okay, a bee, a little wasp, just kind of like flew past me. Maybe I heard the little buzz as it goes by. And in that split second of seeing the bee or hearing the bee, there's a moment where you have this space that you can create between that external stimulus, so say that bee, and then you create space between that action and your response. So in that little space that you create this pause, and you kind of ask yourself, okay, how do I want to respond to this? So as our response is this very intentional, meaningful way to act in response to an event happening. And then the opposite of that would be a reaction. A reaction is this like subconscious, kind of autonomic response that your body has. And so that reaction to the bee would probably be like either you scream, or you might run, or I don't know what it is. Whatever it would be for you to react to that bee. Or that subconscious, it's like the fight or flight, it's that fear almost. And then the opposite of that, the counter of that would be that response, that really meaningful, thoughtful kind of choice that we had between that space and that stimulus. And so your response to that might be, okay, yeah, there is a bee right here. And more than likely, is that bee trying to harm me right now? Probably not. And I'm probably more scared of that bee than it is of you or what have you. And so in that space between the stimulus of seeing that bee or whatever that action is, like I said, you have that little space, that little option. And maybe you take a breath even during that time to create a little bit more lasting space. Just pause that moment, even just for a brief second, to make it become still. And then you see with a little bit more sense of clarity, a little bit more understanding. And like I said, you have that choice to respond rather than react. So when that goes with our yoga practice, there's going to be a point in your practice where a pose, we're going to hold it for a couple seconds longer than your mind wants to. Your body can do it, but it might be a couple seconds too long for the mind. There might be a pose that's a little bit challenging that you kind of struggle with. It's kind of a little bit hard to either breathe through it or what have you. And in those moments, before you get frustrated, before you kind of just give up or however you respond to challenge, you have that same choice, you have that same idea, that option to respond to, how am I going to respond to this pose being hard? How am I going to respond to falling out of this pose? And in that little moment, you have that choice. Grow your breath, yogis. Together, take a huge inhale, fill up. Audible exhale, sigh it out. 2 more big inhale. Anything you don't need, let it go. Last time, huge breath in. And huge breath out. Taking your hands to your heart center, palms touch, Anjali Mudra prayer pose. Press your thumb tips into your heart, and with reverence, lift your heart into your 2 thumbs. Keep your heart lifted and exhale softly. So taking a moment here to honor the space, honor the intention that you're setting for yourself today. So can you create some space for yourself, whether that's space for stillness, space for curiosity, for wandering, for strength. Setting the intention to find space in your body, and space in your mind, in your actions. And knowing that you have that option, you have that power, the capability to choose how you do respond. You do have that power to choose how you respond. How do you want to show up for yourself today on your mat? Keeping your eyes closed. Imagine like you just tilt your chin slightly down towards your throat. And you take your gaze with your eyes closed. It's almost like you're just looking down at your fingertips all the way down to your heart space. Keeping your eyes closed, slightly lift your chin back through center. And we'll go ahead and find all fours, starting practice. So actually, I lied. We're going to find child's pose just for a second. So you take your knees wide for a wide knee child's pose, bring your toes to touch. Or you take your knees narrow for a narrow knee. And either way, go ahead and sink your hips towards your heels, take your forehead to the mat, and extend your fingertips out long in front of you. So I'd like you to invite your breath to the backside of your chest, the backside of your heart. So right between your 2 shoulder blades, and then right at the base of your neck, where your neck meets the rest of your spine. Start to actively choose your response to send your breath right there. So already in this child pose, this really grounding, cradling position, you can feel a little bit of sensation there. And even here, you have that option, you have that capability to choose your response to that. Do you soften and do you breathe into that sensation? Do you use your breath and say, body, it's okay, I got you, we're here, I can hold you? Or does your body kind of like tense up automatically? That reaction where we don't think about it, it's that subconscious thought. And wherever you are, can you choose to respond? Can you choose to make an intentional, meaningful thought, idea, action to soften your breath, grow your breath, and soften the body? Take 5 of your deepest, biggest inhales, exhales, and find some space within the body, within the mind. Start it right here. As you're taking these 5 breaths, imagine like you're pumping your body. Each inhale is this gift that you received of breath, of life. And each exhale, you pump the breath back out. You give that gift back, and you give it back to the universe. Find 3 more spacious breaths. Last breath, biggest, fullest breath, spacious, open, expansive energy. Come into tabletop, all 4. Wrists underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. And go ahead and find some organic or intuitive movements. If you need some structure, find a cat-cow where you drop your belly, tuck your tail, shine your heart. Exhale, you round, you dome your back, press the ground away. So moving with your own breath, your own body, so that you can find more space within you. That might look like some sways of your hips. It might look like some wrist stretches as you take the fingertips back towards the knees. You might find some crazy 8s of the hips. Pour yourself here. Make it feel good for you. Balancing out your sides, another breath or so as you come back to center. Evening out. Alrighty, come back through center. We're going to thread the needle. So you're going to reach your left arm up, take a huge breath in. Keep in mind I have my front-facing camera on, so this might look like my right hand. It's my left. Inhale, reach even higher through the fingertips. Exhale, thread the needle. Drop your left ear and cheek, left shoulder down. Extend your right arm out long in front of you. Your arm becomes straight. You might tent your right fingertips by lifting the palm. And you press down through the back of your left hand as you spin your right lung to the sky. There's kind of 2 options here. You could try to drop your right shoulder down and find a stretch on the back side of your shoulder. Or you start to spin your left lung to the sky as you find a little bit more twist here. You might play around and see what feels better as you find 2 more breaths into this space. Slowly bring your right hand back underneath you. As you press down, inhale reaches your left arm up. Modified side plank. So I'm going to extend my left leg back behind you. Extend the inside and outside edge of your left foot down. And then for stability, I like to take my right shin and pivot it towards the right side of the room. So it's now perpendicular to my mat rather than parallel. You can reach your left fingertips up above head or allow the fingertips to fall to the front of your space. I like to take my fingertips to the front of my space so I can feel this really long line of energy all the way from my middle finger to the edge of my pinky toe of my left foot. So as you inhale, go ahead and start to sweep your arm towards the back of your space. So take like a back bend. You're going to send your hips forward, lean your heart to the sky, and then spin your right lung to the sky as you open your left shoulder. Take a huge breath in here. Exhale, stay here. 1 more big inhale. Breathe into your left hip flexor, so the front of your left thigh. And then exhale. Go ahead and take your left arm, come back to center. Your left arm's going to pull you up and out here into gate pose. So you're going to take your left hand on the inside of your left thigh. You might take it to the top of your left thigh and reach your right arm up and overhead. So now you have the opposite side. Your counter body, your right side of your body is now stretching. So we just found a huge extension of our left side. I want you to press your right shin down to the ground. Send your hips slightly forward. And then start to draw your right shoulder to the sky. Take 1 more huge breath into the right side. Exhale, stay here, soften. Inhale takes you up through center. Exhale, take your hands back down, cartwheel them down to the floor. From here, you're going to take your left shin, bring it back to tabletop all 4s. Take a breath in, right in center. Exhale, bump your hips to the right side of your space. So your hips go to the right side. You can take your gaze towards your ankles over your left shoulder. And I like to rock my hips forwards and backwards. It gets a little bit deeper into your outer hip, but if you're like, whew, I feel it plenty here, go ahead and just stay here in your stillness with your hips bumping to the right. And come back through center. We're going to do that all on the left side now. Reach your right arm up, take a huge breath in. Exhale, use breath needle. Drop your right ear and cheek, right shoulder. Extend your left arm out long. You take 3 intentional, spacious breaths, and you soften the body. Slowly start to bring your left hand back underneath your face. As you press down through the left hand, reach your right arm up, inhale. Modified side plank. Extend your right leg out long behind you. Carve the inner and outer edge of your right foot down. Reach your right arm up. You might extend your fingertips towards the front of your space. So now I'd like you to bump your hips away from you. So press them out from underneath you and forwards. Start to slightly draw your right shoulder back in space. Imagine like you can spin your left lung to the sky. Now reach your right fingertips even further away from you. Try to make this extremely long line of energy from the tips of your right toes to the tips of your middle and index finger. Take one more huge breath in. Exhale, stay here. Come back through center. Inhale pulls you up to gate pose. Right arm pulls you up and out. Take your right hand to the inside of your right thigh. Reach your left arm up and over. Feel the counter side stretch of this. Breathe into your left side. Try to bump your hips slightly forward. Draw your left shoulder back in space, so meaning towards the back wall. And then lean into your heart. Breathe into your left hip flexor. Take one more huge breath. Exhale, stay. Inhale takes you back through center. Exhale, cartwheel both hands down. Right knee follows. Take a breath in right here. Exhale, hips go right. Just kidding. Hips go left as you peek over your right shoulder. And either here you can stay with your hips sunk to the left side, or you shift them forwards and backwards as you get even deeper into the hips. And come back through center. So we're going to do these because, quite frankly, I don't like them. And so the things that we don't like, the things that are challenging for us, are probably the things that we actually need a little bit more work on, the things that we need to pay a little bit more attention to. And whether it's either challenging for us because it's hard or challenging for us because it's different, still great places to just show up and just kind of see what happens and become curious about something. So what you're going to do, we're going to find a little bit of some booty work. You're going to take your knees hip width distance, so right underneath your hips. You're going to take your hands and you're going to press your hands down into the ground. So notice when you press your hands down, you puff up between your shoulder blades and you find almost like this cat spine in your upper back. So now keep pressing your hands down, but I want you to think about drawing your hands away from each other. So if you're to try to rip your butt apart with your hands, drawing your hands to the right, to the left, keep pressing them down. And now you have this super, super strong front body and back body. So stay here. You're going to press down through your right shin so much that you can start to just hover your left knee off. And notice when you did that, did you bump your hips over to the right side to compensate the left knee lifting? That would be called the path of least resistance. It's the path of kind of dumping into this right hip rather than finding the core to lift the knee. So keep pressing down through the right shin. Keep pressing your hands down and spreading them apart. And now I want you to reach your left leg out towards the left side of your space. Lift your left knee as high as you can towards your hip. Whew, it's burning already. There's a cramp. If you're cramping, you know that you're either one, you can use more water, or two, that you're building the muscle, the strength here, to kind of just work through this burn. And then you lift up your left knee even higher. I think of this almost as like a fire hydrant pose. Obvious reasons, for the pups. And then go ahead and lower that left knee down. Whew. Now, keep pressing down through the hands. Kick take your left foot up towards the sky. So imagine like you're gonna put your foot on the ceiling, and did you just jump out to that right hip? Imagine like someone were to come and take their hand and press it into your right hip, and then imagine like someone was gonna tickle your belly, and you're like, whew, I'm gonna pull that away. You squeeze everything up and in. Now squeeze your left foot even higher to the sky. Hamstring curl your left foot towards your butt. Kick your foot higher to the sky. Hamstring curl it towards the butt. Kick it higher and let it go. From here, go ahead and take wide knee child's pose. Sink your hips back just to release the hips. I like a little bit of a sway side to side as you rock each hip bone towards your heels. Really just whatever you need to release that, whether that's child's pose or something else. And come back through center. We're going to take the other side, same setup. Take your wrists right underneath your shoulders. Press your hands down into the ground so you puff up, you protract between the shoulder blades. Now you squeeze your shoulders apart, rather your hands apart. And you drag your hands to the right and to the left, and you find this action, this lifting. And now you're going to pretend the same thing, like someone's going to come up and in. It's almost like a cat pose if that's easier for you to understand. You press down through your left shin so much that you can hover your right knee off the earth. Now, could you go to the left side? If so, draw everything back through center and then lift the right knee up as high as you can. It's almost better as if you were to like lean to the right rather than leaning to the left to compensate. Take 2 more breaths here. Lift your right knee even higher, flex your toes towards your face, and then, whew, the burn. You set it down. Last time, you're going to lift your right knee off the earth. So once again, press the ground away, puff up, protract. Suck the belly up and in like someone's tickling you. You pull away, you squeeze it, and then hover your right knee, your right foot up to the sky. So right here, notice, did you release the engagement of your core? If so, find that little tickle, draw it in. Squeeze your right knee higher to the sky. Crunch your right knee, your right heel towards your butt. One more, inhale to the sky. Exhale, heel towards the butt. I lied, one more time. Inhale to the sky. Exhale to your butt. Squeeze and set it down. Child's pose. Release that. Sway the hips side to side. And you let it go. From here, you're going to come back to your all fours. Go ahead and take your knees out in front of you so you can come to your seat. We're going to take a nice and easy figure 4 stretch. This will feel a really nice release of our booties that we just worked. So you can wiggle your left foot out in front of you as close as you want, as you'd like. And you're going to cross your right ankle over your right thigh. So probably start it out just maybe a foot or so in front. And then you play down from where you go. Take your hands back behind you. Flex your right toes towards your face. You're going to draw your right knee away from you. And if you'd like more sensation here, you wiggle the left heel closer towards your butt. And so you keep wiggling the heel closer, closer, closer towards your butt, just until you feel the stretch. If you felt the stretch when we first started, great. Stay there. Don't push it. But you think about drawing the right knee away, and your left knee pulls in. So these movements are super, super small. You might not even almost see them. They're so tiny. But you think about pushing the right knee towards the front of your space, drawing your left knee towards your chest. Right knee pulls away, left knee towards the chest. Find 2 more breaths here. Find some space. Send your breath to sensation. So you're probably feeling your right hip right now. And I want you to think about taking a huge breath and actively, intentionally, send your breath into your hip, the space that you feel something. Take a huge inhale. Exhale, send your breath there to allow the muscle to know it's okay to soften. It can let go. Let's do one more like that. Big inhale. Muscle soften. Nice work. Go ahead and lean back so you can unrelease and wiggle the left foot forward. Release the right thigh. You're going to draw your left foot in towards your thigh for Janushirshasana. You're going to take your left foot to the inside of your right leg. It's going to look like a tree pose setup. You're going to take your hands to your rib cage. Pivot your ribs over your right thigh. As you inhale, lift your heart. As you exhale, fold forward as you bow down. And so something for me I've noticed when I do like a seated forward fold, so both legs out long, or even Janu Shastasana like this, my pinky edge of my foot like curls inward and it goes away from me. But when I think about pulling the knife edge, so the pinky edge of my right foot towards my face, I get this like really, really crazy, really good sensation that kind of comes up all the way to the pinky side edge of my foot, all the way up the right side on my outer right calf and outer right hamstring and quad that I haven't really felt before. So kind of just keep in mind these little subtleties and these little kind of just adjustments we can, tweaks we can make, and these big changes that kind of occur from it. Another thing you can do is stick a block in front of your foot, so that way you know that all four corners are pressing, so no side of the foot is kind of like pivoting or arching in one way versus the other. Take 2 more breaths here. And come back. So crawl your hands up your right thigh. Now you're going to bend your right knee and take your left foot for your figure 4 stretch. So you once again walk your hands behind you. You take your right foot out in front of you. And you're going to actively draw your left toes towards your face. So flex the toes like you're going to press it on a wall. Draw your left knee forward, so away from you. And then draw your right knee towards you. So once again, these movements are super, super tiny. They're super subtle, but you feel them. If you need more of a stretch here, you can wiggle that right foot closer towards the butt, and you keep thinking about that, actively finding space. How do you find space here? You inhale, you draw the left knee away. Exhale, you slightly pull the right knee in closer to you. And you find 2 more breaths like that. And go ahead and release this. Take Janu Shastasana on this side. Straighten the left leg, right foot on the inside of your left leg. And then take your hands to your rib cage. You're going to pivot your rib cage for the left side of your space. So taking your hands to your ribs is just kind of another way of demonstrating of, yes, you're literally twisting and moving this way. Pivot your body towards the left side. Lift your heart, lift your rib cage up. As you exhale, forward fold, Janu Shastasana. And so same thing. My foot kind of pronates where my left pinky toe edge goes forward. So you can either, if you notice things like that, maybe your big toe kind of moves in and your pinky toe comes closer to you. You either can take a block out in front of you to keep that just neutrality in the foot, I guess you could say. Or you can just kind of look at your foot and be like, okay, is there a point that's pushing further forward? If it is, I want to pull that part back and push the other side forward. Hopefully that makes sense to you. If not, give me a little message after class and we'll kind of talk through it. That goes for all classes too. Keep in mind any postures, any poses that you're unsure of, or you're like, what does she mean, or what would she say? You can always feel free to message me and we can, I'd love to chit chat about it with you. Take 2 more breaths here. And slowly come back up through center. Now, we've got Paschimottanasana, seated forward fold. So we're working up to, it's called Titivasana. And I believe that's called firefly flows. Firefly flows in English. So we're working towards that. We're going to find length of our hamstrings. We found some openness of our hips. And then we're going to find our core. We're going to put it all together. I don't even know if we're going to sit down for class, which is kind of really fun. A little bit different. And as you can see, we have really felt the earth throughout class. So hopefully you're starting to feel this grounding, the steady, this connected energy through. But reach your arms up, take a huge inhale, lift up, draw your biceps further back around your ears, lift your heart even higher. As you exhale, lead with the heart, and forward fold. So take a halfway lift as you inhale, take your gaze towards your toes. That same thing we were just talking about. Are your pinky toe edges curling further forward? Are they kind of like making this like rounded shape? If they are, draw your pinky toe edges back towards your face. So you can either imagine like someone else had their feet pressing directly towards yours, or if you have a block or a book or something, stick it in front of your feet and just notice how that changes the little subtleties within the stretch. Slowly walk your hands back up through center. Go ahead and from here you can either swing your left leg back behind you if that makes sense for you, or go ahead and come to your hands, all fours, and we're just going to find a lizard lunge. So probably come to all fours. I think that's going to make most sense. From here, you're going to tuck both of your toes under. You're going to step your right foot on the outside of your right hand. So now you can stay here if you're like, oh, I feel the stretch, this is great. You can either sink your hips forward. I almost always like to find movement in my lizard. I very, very rarely keep my lizard still. You can wiggle your left knee, so tuck the toes under so you can wiggle the left knee further back. And drop the left knee back down, and you find this deeper sensation now through your inner right hip, your inner right groin. And the palms of your hands are going to be in line with the heel of your right foot. Your hands are shoulder width distance, so notice if they're kind of closer, bring them further apart and find some opening and some broadening of your collarbones and of your heart. And so like I said, you can find movement. So movement could look like a little bump of the hips right and left, a little booty shake in action. It might be a straightening of your right leg and bending of your right knee, forwards and backwards. And maybe it's like a combination of them all. Maybe it's like a sway, some circles, some straightening, some bending. It's kind of where I'm at. It feels good for me today. And maybe you close your eyes. You say, body, what feels good? I take away the sensation of sight, that you can start to tune into that space, that little pause, that space between the stimulus, so the stretch that you're feeling, how does it actually feel, how does it reside, how does it lay in your body? And then a lot of what you're feeling is actually your thoughts. So your thoughts around the idea. So, okay, let's switch, go ahead. So take your right foot back behind you, come back to your tabletop all fours. Step your left foot out in front on the outside of your left hand. You either stay here or you tuck the toes, right toes under, wiggle the right knee back, lower the right knee back down. And so as I was saying, you find the space between your stimulus. So your stimulus right now is the external stretch you're feeling. You're feeling the sensation of your hip as you breathe into it. So the first step of that is the stretch itself. You feel that sensation. And the first way your body processes it is it sends it to your brain. And the first thing that happens is your mind has these thoughts around it. So your mind can either say, ooh, ow, that really hurts, wow. Or you could say, whoa, I feel that. I really, really feel that. That's a lot of sensation. And so the first way you said that was you're telling your body, ow, it hurts. This isn't good. I shouldn't be here. The second way you're telling your body is, okay, I can be here. I feel something. But can I breathe into that? Can I create space between this idea, the stimulus that happened, and my response towards it? So a lot of it is like that self-talk. How do we talk to ourselves when there's challenge, when there's adversity, when there's difference, there's change? It's how do we respond to that change? Do we like grip on to what we know, what we have? Or do we kind of just let go and surrender? Step your left foot back. Wide knee child's pose, knees apart, feet together. Sink your hips and melt your heart. You might sway your hips side to side. Go ahead and come back to tabletop all fours. From here we're going to find a core exercise. So this is one of my favorites. Favorite meaning like it's not super fun to do. It's hard, it's challenging, but it's a really good core workout. One of the first times I did it, I was like, whoa, I've never felt my core in that spot. Like I didn't know your core would be all the way down here. Your pelvic floor, your mula bandha is even actually lower. And so you start to find this engagement, and when you start to feel this engagement and this control and this strength of your core, you can start to kind of just feel this overall empowered feeling. It's your center of gravity, it's your center, it's your core, it's your center. So when you have the strength and the stability here, that kind of extends all throughout all limbs and all facets here. So what you're going to do is you're going to take these two blocks are amazing for this. What you would do is you take a block on this side and you would take a block on the other side. If you don't have blocks, like I said, you can grab either a couple of books, and if you don't have any of those two, I'm going to do it from the floor today. The floor works just fine. So I'm going to demonstrate to start first so you can kind of just like visualize and see where we're going to move. You're going to take your hands, you're going to place them right next to your thighs, so fingertips a couple inches behind your knees. It's like this rainbow shape from your middle finger to your middle finger. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to press down through the tops of your feet, and you're going to hollow out your lower belly. So think about your cat spine and your lowest belly. So you suck your lower belly up and in. You start pressing the ground down and away. So you find like this broadening of your chest, this like hollowing here. And so you keep pressing down. Once again, I'll demonstrate hands. You're going to hollow out the lower belly. You suck everything in. You press down through your knee or your feet, the tops of your feet. You press down through your toenails and the tops to lift your hips, and you lift your knees. So I could have my hips like way up here, but you want to keep your hips low so you stay more in your core. So you're thinking about squeezing your knees into your chest and lifting your hips about like flat in line with your back. So we'll be here just for 5 seconds. You're going to hover your right toes just for 5 seconds. You hover your left toes for 5 seconds. And then you might hover all 10 toes just for 5 more seconds for Lasana balance pose. And so, this is not only a great activation, a great engagement of your core, your Mula Bandha, your Uddiyana Bandha as well. But it also works on like your floating backs. So say when you're in a seat, whether you're on your shins or you're sitting cross-legged, where you transition in your vinyasa classes from your seat back to your chaturanga, you press your hands, you lift your feet up, and you start to float back. And so that's that same engagement that we're finding. So now let's do it. You do it. So, take your hands, fingertips in line, a couple inches behind the knees. Fingertips are making this rainbow shape from middle finger to middle finger. So I can do this twice now with you. So, double whammy, let's do it. Tops of your feet down, toenails press to the earth. First thing, what do? Hollow out the belly, cat your spine. Cat your spine in your lower belly, in your upper back. Press your hands down and away from you. So press them into the mat and forward. Press down through your feet so much you start to lift your hips. Squeeze your knees in towards your chest, and 1 second. Something popped up here. Let me just make sure we're still going. Okay. Lift your knees. Pike your hips. Hold here for 5, for 4. Kick your gaze down, long back of your neck for 3, for 2. Hover the right toes for 5, for 4, for 3, for 2. Hover the left toes for 5, 4, 3, 2. You got it. All 10 toes down or hover for 5. Keep pressing for 4. Cat your spine, lower belly, upper back. 3, 2, and 1. Whoo! Give a little whoo whoo, and you let that go. So I like to shake out my wrists, make a close fist with your hands, some circles of the joints, and we're gonna move into our final peak pose. And how freaking cool! I don't think I've ever personally taken a class. Not to say it can't be done, obviously it can't be done, but we didn't stand on our feet, I don't think a single time. Kind of cool, but there's still a lot of work, as you can see, that can be done, but it's this grounding energy to feel this empowered, uplifting energy. So we're going to find our little Titibhasana firefly pose. So from here you're going to, oh man, we might stand on our 2 feet. You're going to tuck your toes under and stand on your feet. So rise up to a standing position, however you need here. So from here, you're going to go ahead and, I like to just wiggle side to side, feel my feet on the ground, and we're just going to take a little forward fold here to start. So take your hands to your hips, send your hips forward, so towards the front of your space, and then lift your heart high. Imagine like someone took their hand and put it right between your 2 shoulder blades, and it was almost like that little, it's just like this little lift of your chest. It's this opening. And from here, keep the lifting of your heart with a flat back. Dive down as you forward fold. As you inhale, you're going to lift halfway, lengthen. As you exhale, imagine like you're going to like take a backpack, these like straps with your backpack on your legs. So what you're going to do is try to wiggle your right shoulder underneath your left shoulder. And then, right shoulder underneath right shoulder. You're not twisting. Right shoulder under the right knee and left shoulder underneath the left knee. So now it's like you have your like legs are almost like these backpack straps. And so you can either stay here, trying to wiggle the shoulders underneath the knees, or if you'd like, you can start to reach your arms back behind you to your lower back. I like to take my palms face up and the back of my hand towards my hips. Now you squeeze your knees together, so if you can imagine you pike your hips even higher, shift your weight further forward. If you're still here, you take your hands down, take your thumb, so between your thumb and your index finger you have like this little checkpoint. It's like it was almost made for your heel to just like cup right in between that little space. So you're going to take your hands, your fingertips to the right and to the left. You're going to use your elbows like a shelf. So right now, my elbows, my thighs are just like resting on my elbows. It's like this little shelf right here. So you continue by squeezing the elbows in towards each other like chaturanga arms. And then you start to wiggle, maybe just your right toes further forward. You start to wiggle your left toes further forward. From here, you're going to press down through your hands, so protract like we've been doing all class, and you might start to hover your feet. Squeeze your inner thighs towards your arms. See if you can start to straighten your arms. Keep squeezing the hands towards each other. Keep squeezing the feet towards each other. See if you can lift your hips even higher. Take one more huge breath in, and exhale, plop down to your seat. It's over. Butterfly, feet together, soles together, knees wide. If you'd like, you can rock side to side on your seat, find the bones. And as you inhale, start to lift your chest up. As you exhale, find a little fold in your butterfly if you choose. Slowly come back to your center. Walk your feet out in front of you. Modified cat-cow. Feet mat width distance, so pretty wide. Hands to your shins. Inhale, lift your heart. Exhale, cat pose. Round your back, round to your tendon. Inhale to your cow. Exhale to your cat. Two more. Inhale to center. Exhale, extend the legs out long in front of you. Nice work, yogis. From here, flex your toes towards your face. Reach your fingertips out long in front of you. And as slow as you can. So I want you to try to feel each vertebra come down to the floor. So slowly, slowly, slowly lower. The more you press down through your heels, through your feet, through your calves, your thighs, the slower and the more control you have. So right at that place where you're like, ooh, I gotta let go, I can't do it. You can. And I want you to try to stay here, and you can stay here. So you take a huge breath in into the place of challenge, into a place of adversity, of difficulty, and you find that space, you have that response. You choose how you respond to it. You don't give up. You don't let go. You hold on, you get stronger. You know you're more even capable, even more confident than you've ever been. Take one more huge, huge, huge big breath in. Lift the core, lift the heart even higher. Awesome work. Exhale, lower all the way down. Take your feet wide, knees come into touch, constructive rest. You can take your arms out into a cactus, so like a football goal post, that thing. You might take your arms up into like this halo shape, reaching your arms toward the back wall, and gently allowing the palms to face up as the backs of the hands come towards your head. And it might feel good to windshield wiper your knees side to side, right and left. Come back through center with the knees knocking in, kissing together. Take your hands to your lower belly, beneath your belly button. And attune your focus back to your natural breath. So no fixing, no forcing, no controlling, no manipulating. You notice. observe and you explore. As you're ready, slowly slide your right foot off of your mat, down to the bottom right corner. Your toes flop out to the right. Slowly glide your left foot off of your mat. Bottom left corner, toes flop to the left. Take your arms by your side, palms face up, enough space for your armpits to breathe. So now press down to the back of your head, the highest top part of your head. Press down there. As you press down through your head, you lift your shoulder blades off the floor. Last time, squeeze your shoulder blades together, tone them. Now squeeze them towards your hip points and lower the shoulders back down. And so now what you just made here, what you've created in that space, is this lifting, this opening of your heart. It's almost like you put like a little mini pillow or a bolster underneath your heart space. I sometimes kind of feel like there's like this rainbow shape underneath my heart, within my chest. This space, this openness for compassion, of tenderness, of kindness, of love. Let's take one cleansing final breath in our final Shavasana together as a group. Wherever you are, open your mouth. Hear your breath leave your body. Inhale fills you up with a huge breath in. Inhale, fill. Pause at the peak of your inhale. So right now you think you're full, and you are, but you can actually become even fuller than you think you can. Take 1 to 3 sips of breath. So imagine like you're sipping through a straw. How much more breath can you pull into your body? And open mouth as you let that go. So once again, you think you're empty, and then bring your lips together like you're shushing, and squeeze out the bottom of your exhale all the way past below your belly button, all the way to your Mula Bandha. Shh. Open your jaw as wide as it can go. So really big, wide mouth. And keep this opening, and notice how you have this like compression, this tension of the opening as wide as you can. And now slowly, just with gravity, I don't want you to control it at all. Allow gravity to simply bring the 2 palates of your mouth a little bit closer together. Just a little bit. Allow gravity to take over and bring those 2 palates closer. Notice how they're not touching. Your body naturally creates the space between your 2 palates, your upper and lower palate of your mouth, the space of your jaw behind your ears, to find opening, to have space for breath, to have space for life, and for softness, for openness. Find rest, yogis. Allow your mind to completely get lost here. It's almost like you're kind of taking like this road map, one of the old school maps you used to print out or you used to just have in the back of your car. And you have this map, and it's your mind. The map is of your mind and of your body. And right now you're going to crinkle it all up. You're going to allow your mind and your body to get so lost. You're going to set that piece of paper, that crinkled map, right next to you. So you know that when Shavasana is over, when this resting time is done, you can go ahead and grab that map. You uncrinkle it back up, you open it back up, and you have this map to take you back home. take you back to your body, take you back to your mind. So use this time to truly, truly let go. Allow your mind to be so lost. And you have the roadmap to take it back. You know how to get back. You know the way. Trust yourself. Just surrender. Let you know when it's time to close our practice together. Explore the inner workings of your mind and of your body. Your internal landscape of you. If you'd like to be guided out of your Shavasana, start to attune your focus back to the sound of my voice. If you'd like to stay in your final resting pose, please, please, please stay here. This is one of the most important poses of our practice, this art of being rather than always doing. And so the traditional way is, wiggle the toes, move into fetal pose, press up to a seat. I want you to just as slow and as quiet as you can, as much as it makes sense to you, just press up into a nice and easy seat right away. But in that press up to a seat, I want you to challenge yourself to be as still as you can. How much of the Shavasana mindset can you continue to take with you and embody? Take your hands to your heart center for prayer pose Anjali Mudra. Take a huge breath in, lift your heart into your fingertips. Keep your heart lifted as you exhale. So we're going to close our practice with just one Om. And if you're like, what the heck, I am not about to sing in yoga, that's okay. Om is simply the sound of the universe. It's the universal sound of unity, togetherness, peace. So also keep in mind that those times where it's like, I want to just shut down, I want to close off, I don't want to hear my voice, I don't want to hear my heart. And you might ask yourself, like, why is that? And it's a vulnerable place to be. It's vulnerable to think, it's vulnerable to even speak for that matter, to put yourself in a place where it's uncomfortable or not the easiest, it's a challenge. But the more that we kind of don't take those risks or allow ourselves to be vulnerable, as much as we're holding everybody else out, we're blocking everybody else out of our lives because we do not want to be raw, we do not want to be vulnerable. Keep in mind that as much as you're keeping everybody else out, you're just as equally keeping yourself in. As much as you're keeping yourself out by not being vulnerable, by keeping others out, in that same token, you are keeping yourself in. Allow your body, your mind to unlock this sensation, this state of freedom, of vulnerability, of rawness, of realness. And join me for a closing Om together as we unify our voices of our breaths, our bodies, our everything is one in this harmonious sound of the universe. So we're going to take just a cleansing breath to start. And keep in mind that it is hard. It's hard to, like I said, be vulnerable, to Om, to chant, to kind of speak. But we're going to open up our center for truth, our throat. And we're going to open up this space in our body that might start to unlock some other kind of stuck or things within us. So, cleansing breath to start to prepare for Om. If you choose to do so, we'll unify the voices together. So together, inhale just to prepare, cleansing breath. Audible exhale or sigh, let it go. So Om has three parts. It's A, O, Um. Make sure you hold the very at the end of the vibration. It's like this sigh, this reverberation that happens through your body. And so together, take a huge breath in. One more cleansing breath. Inhale. Exhale, sigh it out. Inhale to prepare for Om. Save the at the end. Feel it. Inhale the sweetness. With love, exhale. Just notice the way that Om reverberates, the way it makes your body feel, the tingly sensation that it leaves you, this connected energy, this universal sound. Take your thumbs in between your eyebrows to your third eye, your center of intuition, your center of your inner knowing, where your gut instinct, you just know. Lift your third eye, your elbows, your heart up to the sky, up to the heavens. Feel the lift, feel the lightness, feel the love. As you exhale, you bow with reverence towards yourself, towards those around you, to everyone in this world. I bow to you, you bow to me. We are one, and we are free. Thank you, Yogi, so much. Thank you for sharing your Sunday afternoon, or if you're catching this at another time, thank you for sharing whatever time of the day it is for you. It's very humbling. It's very truly keeping us through, the teachers, or for myself at least, keeping us grounded, keeping us here supported, and feeling that connected energy, whether it's virtual or not. It's for showing up continually for yourself, for your community, and for everyone around you. Once again, my name was Nicolette. Really loved practicing with you this afternoon, or once again, whatever time it is. If you have the desire, the means to donate to our Teachers of Black Swan, we have a teacher relief fund. It's at www.blackswanyoga.com/laugh. Just helps our teachers during this time. I'd love to connect with you if you're on social media or all that jazz, whatnot. You can find me on the Black Swans page. It's Nicolette here in Salerno. Hope to catch you again in class soon. From now, my heart to yours. Take care. Peace, peace, everyone. Love you all. Happy day.